Can I sister 2x8 floor joists with 2x12's instead of using lally columns and support beam for a room that is 16x16?
I can help. So are your current floor joists 2x12's that clear span 16?
Hello, sir. My floors are currently 2x8 floors joists that go 16 foot. The floors are a bit jumpy and was told that the way to fix this was to use a 2x12 beam and using support columnsi. Was wondering if instead I could use 2/x12's to sister the 2x8's.
What is the spacing of the existing 2x8's? 16 inches OC. Or 24 inches OC.
16 inches on center on one end held up by a 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches piece of wood and the other side held up by what looks to be basement brick wall. I guess if I use 2x12 I will need an L bracket to hold up the other 4 inches difference and notch the 2x12 in?
Sorry for the delay. I'd like to point out that a professional engineer's standard of care typically includes a site visit to assess field conditions and get an overall understanding of the structure. This can obviously not be accomplished through the internet. The information provided here is meant for planning purposes only, general sizing and budgeting, and is based on the information provided by you. All loading cases considered are for vertical loads only, no lateral analysis has been completed. The information should be verified by a professional engineer who can visit the site to ensure that potentially important information has not been overlooked or omitted. 2x12 Douglas fir, number 2 grade, joists spaced at 16 inches OC. Will clear span 16. So you need to sister a 2x12 to each existing 2x8. The code does not actually allow you to notch that much, 4 inches, out of the end of the member, but if you are sistering them to the existing 2x8's and nail them adequately along the span, I think you should be fine. See item number 27 in the table below for nailing requirements. Just for information purposes, the maximum end bearing notch, BU code, is D/4. So for a 2x12, it would be 2.875 inches, so you are close. Experts are credited for each adequately rated answer they provide. If you have additional questions, please let me know. Thanks.
Darn, I just noticed that the 2x8 is notched 1 to 2 inches as well as it goes into the beam. That means I would have to notch the 2x12 by 5-6 inches. Does this still work for support?
You can try and use your notch, but also provide some type of Simpson strong tie joist hanger that will mount to the face of the 6x6 beam. Or provide a timber ledger mounted to be basement walls, for the 2x12's to rest on.
Okay, so you are saying like a 1-inch thick piece so the joist can sit on that is nailed to the wood beam?
Would you be able to take a picture of each end of the existing 2x8 floor joists so I can see what the end bearing looks like? There is a button on the chat window that allows you to attach files.
Will do. Give me you a second. Smile.
I am headed to a dentist appointment right now, so I will look at your pictures when I return.
Okay, so I took some pictures. You will find that after closer inspection, measurement, these are actually 2x9's that are notched to fit over the beam on both ends. The beam is supported in 3 ways. 1. In the brick wall on both sides. 2. With metal posts between the brick wall and the chimney on both sides. 3. The chimney also holds part of the beam as well on the other end. The full 2x9 is supported in the brick wall.
Thanks for the pictures. So your 16 clear span, no supports in the middle, is between the beam in the pictures and a brick basement wall, correct?
Sir.
Another option I thought of is to notch the new 2x12's as needed, and then once they are installed, Place a 2x1/8 of an inch thick steel angle up against the bottoms of the 2x12's and bolt the steel angle to your existing 6x6 timber beam. This will give you the full depth bearing you need.
Nice, that is awesome idea. How big / what type of a skew you think? I don't want to go too big and compromise the beam.
I would use something like 3/8 of an inch diameter through bolts, pre-drilled through the beam, spaced at 24 inches OC. Experts are credited for each adequately rated answer they provide. If you have additional questions, please let me know. Thanks.
Does some things like this but longer work? https://www.homedepot.com/p/everbuilt 3 8/16px512 in galvanized hex bolt 805616204645577.
That should be fine.
Just confirming that this would work for the angle iron? What would work for the brick wall side? Do I just cut into the brick? Ifso how much?
The steel angle needs to have 2 inches legs, that angle only has 1 inch legs.
Oh, that right, Sorer will find of those.
What do you mean, cut into the brick?
When I take the 2x12 and try to install into brick sick, I figure I could cut into the brick with an angle grinder and cut out the space I need for the 2x12. Just found this angle iron. Only 9 inches fits into the brick right now, so I would need to cut 3 additional inches out of the brick for the joist to fit completely. Or do you recommend using masonry screws and angle iron for the brick wall? I found the following. Would this work?
That 2 inches angle iron will work. It might be easiest, on the brick wall side, to just add a 4x4 timber beam under the new 2x12's and support it with 4x4 posts at 4 OC. This would be up against the wall.
I have a small ledge that at the floor with a water pipe running on top that would prevent that might stick out about 2 inches or so. Would it be safe to do it after that little ledge onto the basement floor? Or would I need a small footing? Also, when I screw the angle iron to the wall, what type of screw should I use?
It would be fine to have the 4x4 beam and posts out a small amount from the wall. I would not get into drilling anchors into your brick wall, that can get very messy.
Okay, so I will go with the 4x4 post then. Do I need a concrete footing etc. for the post? Or do I just screw in the 4x4 into a Simpson strong post holder? I know with the lally columns I was told 24 long by 24 wide and 24x deep footing etc.
This support is just supplemental, since the 2x12's will be notched a bit more than the code allows. You would not need footings, the posts can just bear on the concrete slab floor.
Okay, got it. So sounds like the only way to bring the code would be to install a new beam that allows for the 2x12 to go through and the brick wall would have to be cut into? Or is the angle iron on the brick the solution but just tricky with screwing into the brick?
The angle iron would meet code, but can be a bit tricky, depending on what condition your brick is in.
I think that particular wall is better than the others in my house because there is another room in the basement afterwards that goes under the porch, so I would hope no really water damage etc. If I did drill into it, what size screw should I use?
Something similar to this, https://www.homedepot.com/p/Simpson strong tie strong bolt 12 in X414 and zinc plated wedge anchor 25 pack SDB 250414 or 25/300591990 at the same 24 inches OC. Spacing.
Just out of curiosity, if I wanted to make this to code and not use an angle iron, any other way to support the 2x12's against that brick wall? I'm assuming code is safer is why I ask. Is there no way to just notch out a space for the 2x12 in the brick?
You could make beam/joist pockets into the block wall. That is how it was done in the late 1800s and early 1900s. I really need to wrap up this question. I am heading out of my office here in a few minutes. Experts are credited for each adequately rated answer they provide. If you have additional questions, please let me know. Thanks.
Okay, so that is where I need to cut into oak brick, that is what I figured. Thank you so much for the information. I really appreciate all of your help.
Good luck with your project.
Just a quick follow-up question: what size screw for Simpson tie if I go with that on the 6x6?
Which connection are you asking about? We worked on quite a few.
This would be tthe 2x12 going into the 6x6 that I needed to notch at 8 inches. You had suggested using a Simpson tie bracket to hold/support the rest of the 2x12 on the 6x6. I imagine you had the following attached picture, link in mind? https://www.homedepot.com/p/Simpson strong tie loose C max galvanized face mount joist hanger for 2x4 loose 24Z/100375190.
Yes, you could use that to help supplement your support, since you will be notching a bit more than the code allows, at the end of the 2x12. This is a very good option. Fill all of the holes with the required nails or screws.
That is great. I will use the recommended screw size as per the manufacturer. Thank you so much.
Sounds like a plan.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.